Today's video is something you can watch in a light way. Semiconductor stocks have been falling a lot recently. But for people who own chip stocks, there may be some interesting news. Nancy Pelosi has joined the chip trade. Nancy Pelosi may be one of the most famous politicians among the stock investors. Some people call her the stock queen. Some even joke that she's the god of stocks. You might think, hold on, wait a second, the politician is called the god of stocks? Yeah, I know, but if you see her result, it's actually even stronger than most of big investors. Nancy Pelosi recently reported a new trade after a long time. And this time she made a big bet on Intel. This is her first reported Intel buy. She bought Intel call options. She also bought Uber call options, but Intel is the bigger trade. That is why the market is paying attention now. For people who are new to this story, let me explain why she's so famous. In the past, there were articles saying things like she made 720% from stocks, how to follow Pelosi's trade, Pelosi the investment queen, and the Pelosi couple gods of stocks. She was the former House Speaker. That is one of the highest positions in the US politics, right after the president and vice president. She has been in politics for a very long time. Therefore, she has a huge network and knows many powerful people. But the big issue is her stock timing. Her timing is miracle and magic. Usually it's often too great. That's why it's an issue. Many times after she bought something, good news came out soon after. Because of that, many people have asked if she was using inside information. For example, in 2020, she bought Tesla. Not long after that, the US government pushed support for electric cars, and Tesla stocks moved strongly. In 2022, news came out that she bought Nvidia. Not long after that, the US chip support bill became a big issue, and we all know what happened. The Nvidia she still holds since 2022. So some people said this cannot be just luck. Because of cases like this, some lawmakers even tried to make a rule to stop politicians from trading stocks. But as far as I know, the rule did not pass. Obviously, politicians did not want to pass the law. So politicians can still trade stocks every day. Now, investors are asking the same question again. Does Pelosi know something about Intel or Uber? Is there something good news coming? But please do not buy stocks just because of this. This is only for fun and for market interest. Do not make an investment choice only because a famous person bought something. Pelosi has been a politician since 1987 and she has won 20 elections. That is really impressive. She has represented California for a long time, but she has said she plans to step down after this term. So this year could be her last year, whether she has to report her trade as a politician. Starting next year, if she's no longer in office, she may not have the same rules to report her trade. That means this could be one of the last policy trade we can publicly track. That is why people are more paying attention to see if her last public bet will win again. Because she's such a big name in politics, some people believe she may be in a position where it is hard not to hear important information. Of course, this is only my personal thought. I'm not saying it is fact, but one thing is clear: her long-term stock results have been very strong. She has beaten the market many times. Among famous people, her stock return has often ranked near the top. Last year as well, she reported to beat the market. That is why some investors actually copy her trade. There is even style called Pelosi mirroring, which means following Pelosi's trade. I also heard that there are ETFs linked to her idea ETF. There is even joke online. Warren Buffett says, no one knows when a stock will go up or down. Then Nancy Pelosi says, that's cute. I do not just know the information, I make the information. Of course, this is just a joke, but it shows how famous this story has become. This time, the market is watching because it could be her last major public trade before she steps down. The key point is that she bought call options on Intel. The option expires in March next year. So this is not a one day trade. it looks more like a bet that Intel can stay strong and move higher over the next few months. That is why some people think the Trump team may announce more support for Intel. But to be fair, this is not a like hidden story. If you watch my previous videos, you probably already heard this many times. If you invest in US stocks, you may also know this. The Trump government has been openly supporting Intel. The US wants to bring semiconductor production back to America. If Korea has a Samsung and Taiwan has a TSMC, the US wants Intel to become its key chip factory name. So maybe Pelosi is betting on more support, easier rules, or more government help for Intel. Intel has already gone up a lot, but she's still betting that it can go higher. That means she's not buying a weak name, she's joining one of the market leaders. Right now, Intel is one of the strongest stocks in the US market this year. Among chip stocks, its return has been very strong. And just as AI power and data center stocks are taking a break, Pelosi suddenly shows up in Intel. So the question is simple. Does she know something again? We'll have to watch. If more news comes out later, I'll talk about it again. Now, let's also talk about Uber. Uber is like a ride sharing app. Uber is also connected to robotaxi, self driving cars, and rule changes. In the second half of this year, there may be more talk about easier rules for robotaxis. Uber is also very sensitive to driver rules, worker rules, and local rules. So some people are asking, is Uber also getting some rule change soon? Will the robotaxi story come back? That is why Pelosi's Uber trade is also getting attention because Nancy Pelosi is already famous for these inside information questions. Investors are giving extra meaning to this trade. But again, this is only for reference and fun. Do not blindly copy a famous person's trade. That is not a good investment plan. I'm talking about this because Intel is a familiar name and this may be one of Pelosi's last public trade before she steps down. So I wanted to share it as an interesting market story. And one more thing, I kept saying this, but the late stage of bubble market is often messy and tiring. Stocks can go up and down very like volatilely. Um, that is why we may be seeing like right now the market. If you can hold through the noise, the reward can be big. But of course, holding is not easy. I just can say just hold, but when your own money is on the line, it feels very different. One day your account goes up and you feel good, but the next day accounts go for like hard and it feels like you gain nothing. This kind of market may continue for a while, so keep that in mind. If the stress is too much, you can raise some cash or move part of your money into safer assets. This is all my video today. Thank you for watching. I'll come back with another fun and interesting market story. See you in the next video.